Welcome to Women's Rugby Rundown 215 for September 8th through the 14th. The Rugby World Cup quarterfinals saw Canada and New Zealand dominate, while France and England advanced to the semifinals in a very different fashion. We now have our final four teams. We will also take a look at our premier and club competitions. I'm Wendy, here to bring you the latest in women's rugby news. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off.
Let's take a look at the quarterfinals in detail.
Canada opened with a commanding 46-5 victory over Australia. 7 tries, including one from Sophie de Goede, who also added 4 conversions, secured player of the match honors, and kept Canada's unbeaten run alive. Australia now looks ahead to hosting the 2029 Rugby World Cup with departing head coach Joe Yap and captain Pellew raising the team's fight and potential. New Zealand followed with a 46-17 win over South Africa. The Springboks pushed hard in the first half, holding the game to a 10-10 tie, but the Black Ferns' superior pace and handling carried them clear in the second. Olsen Baker scored twice and was named player of the match. Despite the result, South Africa left the field proud, having crossed the line 3 times against the defending champions. The weekend's most dramatic match came when France came back from a 13-0 down to stun Ireland 18-3. Joanna Griset's 80-meter try turned the tide, and Les Bleus' defense shut the door in the dying moments. It's that defensive lineout just wreaking havoc on teams, especially at that 5-meter line. Now, let's pause on this France versus Australia quarterfinal because we have to talk about one of the wildest officiating oversights in recent memory. French forward Axel Berthemoy appeared to bite Irish flanker Aoife Wafer during a ruck. The replay showed Wafer reacting in pain and immediately appealing to the referee. The broadcast showed 2 replays if you were watching from home, the second giving a very clear look at the incident. The TMO stayed silent, though. Play just rolled on. This is astonishing. Under World Rugby regulations, biting is an automatic red card offense with a potential 12-week ban or longer. If that had gone upstairs for review, France could have been reduced to 14 players and a knockout quarterfinal for 20 minutes, a game-changing moment. Rugby, a sport that prides itself on discipline and respect, has a history of handling biting incidents through its judiciary. We've seen players in both the men's and women's face sanctions for such actions. England's Dylan Hartley was suspended for biting. The difference here is that in that moment, the officials had the footage and the player's reaction, yet no on-field action was taken. While Berthemoy is now going through the disciplinary process, for many, the lack of an immediate decision feels like too little, too late. Ireland fans and neutrals, too, have every right to feel furious. In a World Cup quarterfinal, the integrity of the competition depends on these calls being made. Instead, the moment was brushed aside, and it leaves a stain on what should have been remembered as a fierce, clean contest. In the final quarterfinal, England rounded us out with a 40-8 victory over Scotland in front of 25,295 fans at Ashton Gate. Kelsey Clifford bagged 2 tries, and Holly Aitchison added a try and 10 points with her boot as the Red Roses stretched their world record winning streak to 31 matches. Scotland celebrated reaching the knockouts for the first time since 2002, even as they said farewell to head coach Brian Eason. The semifinals are now set, and both matches will be played in Bristol this weekend. New Zealand versus Canada. Historically, the Black Ferns' dominance over Canada was crushing, with 17 wins to just 1. The scoring difference is also massive, reflecting years of lopsided victories. However, the narrative has completely changed in the last 2 years. The single Canada win, a narrow 22-19 victory in the 2024 Pacific 4 Series, was a pivotal moment, and their 27-27 draw earlier this year in the same competition proves that this semifinal is far from a foregone conclusion. The historical stats are now just a backdrop to a fierce and evenly matched modern rivalry. England versus France. This rivalry is about one team's unprecedented dominance and the other's desperate quest to end it. England has won 16 straight against France and is on an astonishing 31-game winning streak overall. While the overall points and tries are heavily in England's favor, the recent results are where the drama lies. The Red Roses' last win in the Six Nations was a decisive 40-6, but before that, it was an agonizingly close 43-42 thriller. This is a battle of streaks and will. France will have to play a perfect game to finally topple the world's best. The YSC Rugby family will be in Europe for the semifinals and finals, continuing our tradition of covering the Rugby World Cup live. The Rugby World Cup only has a few weekends left, but the rugby action is just getting started. The sport has a clear roadmap for the next decade with major events on a consistent cycle. Domestic leagues around the world have already kicked off or are kicking off their new seasons, giving fans a chance to follow their favorite players from the Rugby World Cup. Looking ahead, the global calendar is packed with annual international competitions like the Six Nations, Pacific 4 Series, and WXV. There is so much rugby happening now. The long-term schedule is equally exciting, with the men's and women's Rugby World Cups and Olympic Sevens set to take place in two primary locations. Australia will host the men in 2027 and the women in 2029, as well as the 2032 Olympics. The USA will then host the men's Rugby World Cup in 2031, the women's in 2033, and the 2028 Olympics. Now let's take a look at our domestic competitions. In New Zealand's Dr. Farah Palmer Cup, Otago and Northland are set to meet in the championship final. In the Premiership, Waikato, Canterbury, and Manawatu have secured semi-final places, with the last spot up for grabs between counties Manukau and Auckland. In the Arnold Clark Premiership, Stirling County made headlines with a 101 demolition of Herots. Watsonian beat Biggar 45-5. Christorfin defeated Garriock 56-14. And Hillhead Jordan Hill claimed a 38-19 win over Cartha Queens Park. The 2025 club season is officially underway in the United States. We're still collecting inputs from all the regions, but we'll have weekly updates for you on all the D1, D2, and D3 matches to come. And in Ireland, the Inageria All-Ireland, the AIL, will launch soon with free live streams on Irish Rugby Plus. The season opener on October 4th is a rematch of last year's final, UL Bohemian versus Railway Union. Canada has released a new national growth plan for 2025 to 2030, putting women and girls at the center. Their plan focuses on athlete development, youth investment, building stronger clubs, aligning with World Rugby's global priority to expand the women's game. That does it for us. This wraps up WRR 215. Never miss one of our episodes. Subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, or any social media platforms.